Okay. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. My name is Richard Stewart. I'm the Mayor of Coquitlam, and I'll convene this regular council meeting. We have three items I wanted to deal with that are just prior to us beginning our agenda. And the first one's a somewhat somber one. I'm going to ask for staff to put that up. We have one of our Coquitlam residents has been missing for 5 days now. Mr. No, Shin Ik No, a Korean gentleman suffering from Alzheimer's, and he has been missing since Wednesday morning. There's an extensive search for him, and I want to particularly thank those volunteers. And I met there were hundreds out. I met dozens of them on Saturday and Sunday at the search headquarters. The search headquarters is on tonight, actually, at 2624 St. John's Avenue in Port Moody, where people are going through some of our park areas, some of our green spaces, down streets, in neighborhoods. They're also checking their backyards, their shed, their behind the fence, in the carport, and spaces like that where Mr. No might have sought refuge from the cold and the wet weather. We actually got heartened yesterday with a confirmed sighting of Mr. No on Coast Meridian, not far from the base of Burke Mountain, and so we are heartened by that. And so we'd encourage and thank those people that have already been out to search. We ask all of our residents to have a look around their yard and their neighborhood and keep their eye open for Mr. No. The shirt that in the bottom photo there, that's the shirt he's wearing right now. And the hat in the top photo is the hat he was wearing when he went missing as well. So our prayers are with the family who are working hard, family and friends that are working hard to find him. Yeah, now I have to jump from that somewhat somber but hopeful message to some wonderful news that we were granted this morning. On behalf of Council, I want to acknowledge that the City of Coquitlam has been awarded the BC Senior Games for 2016. 2016 is our 125th anniversary as a city, our 125th birthday, so it's going to be sweet that on that particular year, exactly 25 years from the last time we hosted provincial games, the BC Summer Games and BC Senior Games in 1991, our 100th anniversary, we will be able to, and Lou was mayor back then when we hosted that. This year I think he's going to be a competitor. Almost all of council will be able to be, well, actually at this point all of us could, because I will have qualified, and right now I'm the youngest member of council. I'm sorry, well, apart from you, May. So the BC Senior Games is going to be in the summer of 2016, and on behalf of council I want to thank the staff team, all of the team that put together such an amazing bid that managed to secure the BC Senior Games for Coquitlam. That's actually an amazing opportunity for our community. It does provide enormous economic spin-off to the community, because unlike the summer games, senior games, they come with money and they spend it in the community, they stay in the hotels, and this is a very large event for the competition, but it's also a very large event. We'll have somewhere in the neighborhood, what was the number of competitors? 3,500 competitors, and plus their families, and it's an amazing event for every community that hosts it. And I'll look to Councillor Sikora for some of his reminiscing about the last time we hosted it.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we modified 1991, 100th birthday. We had the BC Summer Games, and then the provincial government says, can you handle the Senior Games the same year? So we did. And I can tell you something, that there was nothing that united the community like the Summer Games and the Senior Games. It brought neighbors working together and just being in a place together. And you know, people have told me that this was the greatest thing, and we needed some like 6,500 volunteers. We had 13,000 volunteers. So this is the greatest thing for the city. And in 2016, when the Senior Games get here, everybody will be enjoying it because it's a real thing, great thing to have in the city.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it myself. I participated in the Canada Summer Games in '77, and I'll be able to qualify to participate if I could learn something that I can do well. Thank you, Councillor Asmundson. And the last one, I promise. This is a very winning week for Coquitlam. Last week we were at Union of BC Municipalities Conference, and Coquitlam was granted 2 awards on Thursday. One of them, I'll start with that one, the UBCM Community Excellence Awards, Best Practices for Civic Engagement, and that's the crystal one, Best Practice for Civic Engagement. It was received for our recycling and our waste reduction school workshop program that's partnering with School District 43. Through this program, we work with young people, kids. There's 2 ways of changing people's attitudes, and that's one is to educate the people, and the other one is to force them to change because we educate their kids into the correct behavior. And that's what was done here, and the program won an award for Best Practice Civic Engagement by really encouraging young people to go home and talk the talk about recycling and diversion. And so I want to thank all the staff that were involved in that program. And the other program, the other award, it's the green glass one right here. I'm told that this actually is the product of recycled glass from bottles. I'm sure it isn't, but it could be. This isn't a recycling award, though. This is Open for Business. The Open for Business Award, we were one of the 7 municipalities who received the award. The award recognizes local policies, projects, and programs that support small business. Part of the award actually includes a $10,000 grant to the city, which we will be using to further improve the policies and services that affect our business community. 3 projects that we identified are to conduct a business satisfaction survey to capture the opinions of business and how we might improve, update our economic action plan to enhance the strategies to focus on small business, and develop a community profile and a site selector guide, the kinds of resources that can encourage the settlement of business in our community. Coquitlam is right in the middle of the Lower Mainland, and there's lots of reasons why we can really be a center for business to thrive in our community. We were the only Lower Mainland, only Greater Vancouver, Metro Vancouver community to have received this award, and on behalf of all of Council, I want to thank the Economic Development Department, the whole team that helped put together the bid, but more importantly, the team on both awards that put together the programs that won the awards. Absolutely great, and I thank them very much. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item this evening is a presentation, and I'd like to invite both staff and members from the United Way to come forward who are going to speak about the United Way of Lower Mainland.
All right, thank you very much. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much, Council and Mayor, for having us here tonight. I'd like to make a few quick introductions. I'm Chris Sidaway. Most of you know me. I'm the Sports and Events Supervisor with the City. I'm also the Employee Campaign Chair for the City's United Way campaign. I have Pamela Merkin, who's the the United Way staff representative for our campaign, and Carol Metz-Murray, who's with Tri-City Transitions, and Alexa Carapanos. Did I get that right? Okay. Who's the employee, the loan rep from Coquitlam Polytechnic, and also her union, which I can never remember.
FPSE.
There you go. And this is a part of the team. We also have a staff team that are working with me here. And representing that group today is also Michelle Hunt, Manager of Corporate Planning. And we have got a pretty exciting plan worked out for our campaign this year, and I wanted to give you an update on that and also some highlights from our past campaigns. This year, we are thrilled to have the support of QP 386 as well on our campaign, and they're helping us with that. And the fire department's also jumped on board, and we're enjoying working with Chief Pierlot on the campaign from the fire department end. There we go. In the past years, these were the outcome of our campaigns, and as you can see, we have a gradual increase every year, and we hope to grow it again this coming year. And in fact, one of our goals as a group is to really try to get more people, more staff involved in our campaign by growing the staff involvement by roughly 50%, but also the monetary contributions by 15%. And we think that's a realistic goal, and we look forward to working on that. Yes, sir. That's not working.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things we wanted to highlight was the investment back into Coquitlam. So we show that we raised just over $18,000, and you can see that the United Way, in turn, invested almost $1.2 million into the Coquitlam area. And then if you look at the overall Coquitlam revenue from United Way donations, the total was $266,506, which means the United Way is investing almost $1 million more than the community is putting back into it, and we think that's great. It goes to benefit a lot of wonderful programs within our community, and working with Parks, Rec and Culture, I get to see the benefits of those on a day-in, day-out basis. So a couple quick other stats on that. The United Way has 3 focus areas, and so one of them is seniors, and there were 4,458 seniors served in the 2011-2012 year, as well as 5,856 children served. And that's pretty significant numbers, and I think the dollars and the number of people served really speaks volumes for the benefit the United Way has. Quick highlight. Thank you. Quick highlight of our 2013 campaign plan. We are thrilled to have a bunch of new people on our committee this year, and happy to have excitement and some renewed enthusiasm, and looking forward to some big events. We already had our first barbecue, which I thank the members of council and mayor who were able to make it to the barbecue at the Works Yard. We raised $2,700 through that barbecue as a function of people paying their admissions, as well as the 50-50 and raffle. We're also planning a chili cook-off here at City Hall October 17th. And we'll be doing a couple coffee cart sessions here at City Hall to try and encourage people to ask questions, learn about the United Way. One will be tied with a lunch and learn opportunity where people can find out a little bit about how the United Way benefits the community in greater depth. Probably some sort of 50-50 and possibly a raffle. And you'll start to see Purdy's chocolates popping up at various city counters, and that will also be a fundraiser for the United Way. And new this year is that as we send out our donation forms, the payroll donation forms, we'll be encouraging people to fill them out. And once we get them back as a committee, we'll be giving people fancy-dancy little silicone wristband, and that wristband will give them access to all of the events that we have coming up after they've handed in their donation form. So we're trying to encourage people to get used to filling out the donation form, and then have some rewards for doing that early and getting in on those events. So I thank The committee thanks Council for being our champions, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events. I'm going to introduce Pamela quickly here, and she's going to then introduce Carol.
Thank you so much, Chris. Chris has been an amazing supporter and integral to bringing a fantastic committee together. On behalf of the United Way, thank you, Mayor and Council, for your support and care for our community. We are all united in our goals to strengthen our community's capacity to address the important social issues of poverty, bullying, and senior isolation. I'd like to introduce you to now Carol Metz-Murray, Executive Director of Tri-City Transitions, who will speak about why it's so important that we all get behind the United Way campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela, and good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for providing the opportunity for me to speak with you this evening about the benefits of the United Way to the city of Coquitlam and to the bigger Tri-City community. So my ask this evening of Mayor and Council, right up front, also of staff and the community, as we think of the 2013 United Way campaign, I ask that we all open our hearts and think about the good that it does in our community. Chris has gone over the benefits that the United Way brings to Coquitlam. There are 58 agencies that support 104 initiatives. Almost 18,000 individuals have received services. So that's a tremendous service to the community. It's also a tremendous investment. I mean, when I think about it from the economic perspective, it brings employment into Coquitlam. But more than that, it builds community. And I see that in the work that I do through Tri-City Transition Society. And through community, it builds engagement, it builds hope, it builds safety and security for individuals, and it builds connection for youth and for seniors and for children. So I'd like to share with you two stories. One is about a family that came to us for services. The child was so filled with fear. It was amazing. I had never seen a child that really reacted and made sounds like a guttural animal. And what I learned about that child was it had never had the opportunity yet to be with its family. They came for services, and 3 months in, what a delight to finally meet that child in the reception area of Tri-City Transitions. It had a smile on its face. It was talking. It was open. And I actually was able to stand and have a conversation with the child. It was so different than when that child came through the door the first time. And it's now reunited with its family and making progress. That is part of the benefit of the United Way. The other is of a child who came to us and the parent who came to us who couldn't parent. They needed help and support, and we were able to work with them for them to learn all about parenting a child. They come back to us every summer to say thank you, and again, that's a benefit. So those are only two benefits that the city of Coquitlam receives as a result of the United Way. That's just two. Think of the other 57 agencies and the work that they are doing in the community. It grows exponentially. So with that hope and that engagement, I ask you to imagine on a much bigger scale the benefits that come and that will come to this city as a result of the United Way. So in closing, I ask Mayor and Council to champion the 2013 campaign for the city of Coquitlam with open hearts. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming in and explaining and telling us more about the stories of United Way. I think most of council were able to join in a staffed United Way event the other day and have a burger and really launch off the Coquitlam campaign, and it's great to see some of the many benefits that local community gets from this. Thank you very much.
Our second item this evening is a presentation. Just wanted to confirm that all the people are now here from the Evergreen line, or are we still one short?
There are one short.
Okay, so we'll move forward. And
So this is the, of course, the Evergreen line will solve all our traffic problems. Apparently one of the presenters is stuck in traffic.
It's not on the Evergreen alignment, to be clear.
No, probably trying to find their way through the signage on Highway 1. Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, you promised me you wouldn't go there.
I wouldn't go there. I'm sorry. That's right.
Our third item this evening concerns the minutes of the regular council meeting held on Monday, September 9th. The recommendation is to approve these minutes.
Moved by Councillor Asmussen, seconded by Councillor Hodge. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 4 is the authorization for the issuance of a development variance permit for 1090 Lougheed Highway. Before putting the recommendation before council, I would ask the chair to call for speakers.
Okay, on the next, we can't move it yet. On the next two items, we have a mini public hearing. It's a development variance permit. Are there any speakers to this item? Or is there anyone here that wants to present their thoughts on this item?
Just really here to answer any questions that council may have in regards to the signage proposal.
Okay, step forward and say your name and address for the record.
Sure. It's Jordan DeRoche, and it's Unit 1206, 813 Agnes Street in Westminster.
And you're open to any questions.
Yeah.
I don't see any, but if you'll take your seat then, we may call you back.
Great.
Are there any speakers to this item? Are there any speakers to this item? Third and final time. Are there any speakers to this item? Does council have any questions for the applicant?
Move the recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Sikora, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. The recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Item 5 is also a development variance permit. This is an authorization for a DVP at 1001 Delestre Avenue. And again, I would ask the chair to call for speakers.
Are there any speakers to this item? Are there any speakers to this item? Are you waving that you want to speak, or are you waving at the... Yeah, you're lucky we're not at an auction, or you just bought it. Are there any speakers to this item, third and last time? Seeing none. Moved by Councillor Asmussen, second by Councillor Hodge. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe we can now move back to item 2, which is our second presentation of this evening.
No, they weren't here on time.
For item 2, this concerns the Evergreen Line project update. We have Amanda Farrell, who's the Executive Project Director, John Buckle, who's the Segment Manager, and Jennifer Locke, who's also a Segment Manager, followed by Angela McKenzie, who's a Communications Manager. There's a presentation as part of this.
Now, before you get going, we were just awarded the 2016 BC Senior Games. It's in the summer of 2016, about 2 weeks after you finish the project. And I want to just give you this pin to remind you how important it is.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, my apologies for being late. My 40-minute journey took 2 hours, so it's a bit of a snarl up on Highway 1.
One day we'll have SkyTrain.
Well, yeah, if I could have just jumped on SkyTrain, it would have been fine. See if I can figure this out. So thank you for the opportunity to come here this evening and provide you with an update on the project. We're really moving along quickly now with the work. We've completed our early works that was done by the province, and that included some utility installations and the road widening. and railway track relocation, and we are on schedule to open in summer of 2016. So as you know, we now have our major contractor on board. It's EGRT Construction, and they are doing the main work. So the people that you see out on the alignment working right now is EGRT. Column construction is proceeding in the Burnaby-Coquitlam area. I'm sure you've seen that. And it will soon start moving south down North Road. So what I wanted to do this evening was focus mainly on the construction activities in Coquitlam, and then touch more generally on activity in other areas of the alignment. So there's North Road. I think you all know that that was widened as part of our early works programme, and we did that to allow traffic to continue to flow while the guideway is being built. And you'll start to see column construction on North Road later this fall and moving into 2014. So moving along the alignment and up North Road, you'll see here this relates to Cottonwood Avenue. And the construction of the guideway along North Road will require some changes in the current traffic patterns for Cottonwood Avenue. That's because the column placement is going to give rise to some limited visibility. So drivers travelling westbound on Cottonwood Avenue will no longer be able to access North Road, although drivers travelling northbound will still be permitted to make a right turn. So we do have some community relations meetings planned starting October 3rd to explain to residents in the area what is going to happen, how that work is going to take place. And we'll continue to notify throughout the work through construction bulletins and information sheets. And you'll have seen that there's really a lot of work going on in the Coquitlam station area, with columns now being constructed at the site. When the construction is complete, the Coquitlam station will have passenger pick-up and drop-off station spaces adjacent to the station, as well as dedicated spot for handy dart in service in front of the station. There will also be bike racks for the convenience of cyclists. And the Coquitlam station will serve as a major connection point for buses travelling to and from SFU. We're also going to be putting in a new traffic signal north of the station that will allow pedestrians and cars to move more easily in and out of the plaza area. So one of our key concerns is to work with the businesses in the Coquitlam Mall to ensure that customers know their shops are open for business. We've done some work with the signage. We have a business liaison meeting coming up with those businesses, and there are issues that arise from time to time. And when they do arise, we're working with the contractor to try to resolve them as quickly as possible. Yeah, so moving to the south tunnel portal, which is another very active area, has been very active through the summer. Crews have been working on the tunnel abutment structure. You'll have seen the first guideways, columns, near Como Lake Avenue and Clark Road, the first one being completed in August. And the thing that's going on there now, and you might see the bright yellow metalwork arriving, and that is the truss, the launching truss that's going to put the guideway up. And that is starting to arrive now, and it'll take approximately 3 months to put that all together and have it ready to start putting the guideway up. We would expect to start seeing that early in the new year. And the way the truss will move, it will advance along the guideway from Clark Road down North Road. So just for your interest, there's going to be a lot of precast concrete being moved in here to build the guideway. The elevated segments, the precast segments for the guideway itself are being manufactured by Armtech in Richmond. We also have APS in Langley building the liners for the tunnel, and Shorespan is building some box girders. So we thought you might be interested to know this work associated with the project really across the Lower Mainland and even on the island. Moving now to Coquitlam Central Station. So preparation for station construction began here in August, and that work included fencing, clearing the station area, some utility relocation and some changes to the bus loop configuration. That changed bus loop configuration will go back at the end of construction. We're working hard with TransLink to make sure that transit users will be informed of changes to the West Coast Express Park and Ride facilities during the construction time. And we will start seeing column construction around the Coquitlam Central Station and Lincoln in the spring of 2014. The elevated guideway construction itself will start into 2015 in this location. Moving now to the Lincoln Station. There we are. Work at Lincoln hasn't yet started, but will be starting shortly this fall, beginning with site preparation. And we do expect to start seeing the tree removals in that area to make way for the station shortly in November. And we will be working together with city staff to develop a plan for the landscaping in and around this area. In particular, I know it is a goal of the city to build a multi-use pathway in this area, and we're working with city staff to work together to meet this goal. And we expect landscaping and tree planting to be a major part of that plan. So Lafarge at the end of the line, work there has begun with the utility relocation and is moving on to excavations within the station area. Upcoming work includes utility and bus stop relocations and some fencing and clearing. Again, in this area, a key concern is to maintain access to the Evergreen Cultural Centre, and that's important, and we'll be maintaining that through construction, although there will be some changes and reconfigurations in access and parking to allow that to happen. A new signalised pedestrian crossing has been installed at the Town Centre Boulevard to provide easier access for or is being for Douglas College staff and students, and city staff have asked this to be upgraded into a full traffic signal, and we are working with the city in partnership to make that happen. That is now in the plan. So just a summary of some upcoming activities in the Burnaby-Coquitlam area. Columns construction, and as I mentioned, started in the summer, and will start moving down Clark Road toward North Road through fall and into 2014. There's upgrades at Lougheed Town Centre. I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. There'll be a special structure going across the white spot, rounding the corner at Lougheed. And you'll start to see the construction of the station at Coquitlam in the midsummer. It's coming up now, and that will continue on through into late 2014. Moving to the Pine Tree Way activities, there's various special structure works going on at Aberdeen, and we will see preparation for station construction at Lafarge Lake Douglas starting now and moving on for the next year or so. You've also seen, I've mentioned the work starting at Coquitlam Centre, and Lincoln you'll see shortly. We expect you'll see column construction along Pine Tree Way starting early 2014. That's the columns going up first, with the guideway actually being strung to follow in 2015. So just to touch on some other areas, anybody who's been driving past the Lougheed Town Centre station will see there's lots of construction activity going on there, including some demolitions and some fencing, and starting to rebuild the guideway that's going to move around the corner to connect up to the rest of the line. And we will be doing some renovations to that station. Along the Barnet Highway, you'll have seen that we did move the Barnet to allow the construction of a transition tunnel towards the main tunnel. The barnet has now been moved back into its original configuration, and work will shortly be starting on building the pit where the tunnel boring machine will be lowered. And just for your interest, we expect the tunnel boring machine to arrive in December, and we'll start work in February. And it's going to be brought to us from, it's been built in Toronto by Caterpillar right now. And I believe it's actually finished and going through testing and commissioning at this point. Of interest to you as well will be the work we're going to be doing at the Inlet Centre Station area. That work involves hydraulically jacking a box underneath the intersection, and we are looking at closing that intersection we expect it to be the Remembrance Day weekend. So we're working very closely with city staff on detour routes, working with emergency services to make sure that their needs are met. And at all times, the emergency services will be able to get across that bridge even during construction. So that is something that we're putting a lot of effort into, the planning around that, and we'll be doing a significant amount of newspaper advertising, that kind of thing, so people are aware that businesses are open and these are the routes. So at this point, the majority of the tree removals that we will be doing along the alignment are complete. The last pieces are the trees that will be removed along Pine Tree. We have got a complete inventory of the trees along the alignment, and we are working with our own planners and with city staff to come up with landscaping plans. One of the things we've decided to do is bring that work earlier in the project than would normally be done, to allow communities to have an input onto those plans before they're finalised. So we would expect to have plans that we can start sharing in about the next month or so. That work is underway. We obviously have a wide array of environmental commitments under our environmental assessment certificate. So we are working hard to make sure those are met. They include enhancement and compensation areas in creeks and other areas. So we are working closely with environmental agencies as well as the municipality to develop all of these plans. And so I think, as I mention every time I visit you, our community relations, we have a comprehensive community relations program, and it's very important to us. We continue with that effort. Sorry. So yes, we're continuing with our community relations program. Is that better? Yeah. Yes. And we continue to meet with community groups along the way, along the alignment. We have the 3 business liaison committee meetings. They will all be meeting this week, and they meet regularly. We have a subscription list for people who want to get traffic alerts. We have our 24/7 traffic line, and we continue to do door-to-door visits to our neighbours and advertise on issues when we feel we need to. We're also working very closely with TransLink, because a lot of what we're doing impacts commuters during the construction period. So, I mean, in terms of local community groups that you may be aware of, we've recently met with the Sedona residents. We're planning to meet with the Coquitlam Community Association and the Oakdale Neighbourhood Association in the very near future. So that is a fairly high-level overview of the work that we've been doing. Be happy to try to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. Normally we, of course, limit delegations to 5 minutes, but we have been waiting 25 years for the Evergreen line, so we thought maybe 10 or 12 minutes would be fine, too. We've got Councillor Hodge has some questions.
Yeah, and thank you for the presentation. As the mayor said, it's we've been waiting a long time for this, and it's glad it's glad to drive by and actually see the columns coming up. Quick question. First, I also want to sort of recognize and thank you for the work that you're doing with the residents in the area, and particularly the business community, because I know that these projects at the end, it's great to have them, but there's going to be some short-term pain in the middle here, and anything we can do to work with particularly the businesses in Coquitlam and the residents certainly appreciated. And I just had one question. I noticed that you're building the gantry and you're going to start to put the columns up and then work, I guess, from the tunnel south towards Lougheed. Do you do that simultaneously down at Pine Tree, or will that be disassembled and then moved and then brought down? Is that the same unit?
There's just going to be one truss. It will come down to Lougheed, be taken apart, and then move up and do Pine Tree.
It'll do that section,
yes,
because obviously there's the gap in the middle of the tunnel and the at grade, so
that's right.
That would be moved. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the button.
Councillor Sikora.
That's all right. The one thing I was going to mention, Mayor, that I'm delighted that it's here finally. It's going to be built and be open in 2016, hopefully in the spring of 2016. But I'll tell you, in my term, we had Bill Bennett promise it for Coquitlam. We had Bill Vanderzem promise it for Coquitlam. We had Rita Johnson promise it for Coquitlam. And Mike Harcourt promises for Coquitlam. Finally, it's here.
Yeah, well,
So just shows you how many premiers had made promises. Yeah.
I know it's been around for a long time, this project.
And it just shows you which mayor managed to get the promise fulfilled.
Hopefully that another 25 years, if there's somebody else that might be going to Port Coquitlam or somewhere else, you know.
Could happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Long time coming.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next item now is item 6. This is a preliminary report and application for zoning amendment bylaw number 4434 for 283 Hart Street. Recommendation from staff is that council give first reading to City of Coquitlam zoning amendment bylaw number 4434 and that bylaw 4434 be referred to public hearing.
Second. Moved by Councillor Hodge, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 7 concerns the One Pass program. We have introductory comments by the Manager of Recreation. The staff recommendation is that Council adopt the One Pass admission and pass program for a January 2014 implementation.
Moved by Councillor Asmussen, second by Councillor Sikora. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
I'm not sure if the Manager of Recreation had comments you want? No.
She was prepared to work hard at convincing us.
There was a mind meld going on.
Oh, wait, you
sure.
can't support it yet? I haven't told you why.
Sometimes these presentations are for the public rather than...
Indeed, indeed. Well, this is going to be a great opportunity for the public to get more engaged in everything that Parks and Recreation has to offer.
Item 8 is the 2013 grant application under EMBC Flood Protection Program. We have introductory comments by the Acting General Manager of Engineering and Public Works. The staff recommendation is that Council support the grant application under this program to raise a section of Cedar Drive to protect the low-lying farmlands from flooding.
Okay, I'll allow the introductory comments this time.
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff has identified an opportunity to apply for a grant from the Province Emergency Management BC Flood Protection Program to offset the cost of this flood protection project. The Cedar Drive Flood Protection Project was established as a project in the Partington Creek Integrated Watershed Management Plan in order to address anticipated drainage flows from the developing area as well as to protect the existing properties down in that area. The project, obviously, if we're successful, the project would benefit from additional funding, and the project would also be subject to future budget discussions with Council.
It's been moved and seconded. Councillor Hodge.
Just one question on it. Is this section of the dike, I believe we share with Port Coquitlam, is that correct, or is this just but this is just our section, but the dike continues along and around into Port Coquitlam, correct?
Through your worship.
Does it not come down further down there, or is the whole thing up in our section here?
No, this dike at the Coquitlam Diking District dikes on the north side of the Bow Slough, they're all within the city of Coquitlam. Even in fact, the dikes on the south side of the Bow Slough are within the city of Coquitlam, but those dikes are operated and maintained by the city of Port Coquitlam.
Right. Okay. Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, all in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Your Worship, that's the last formal item on this evening's agenda.
Moved by Councillor Asmussen to adjourn, seconded by Councillor Sikora. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. And once again,